Hello and welcome to Book Chat. I am your host, Author Vivian E. Moore. Before we get started with today's show, I just want to know how was everyone's Saturday. I know a lot of us have experienced just rain, seems like for the past few days, and these very warm temperatures. It's supposed to be winter, but of course we're having spring-like temperatures, so it just makes me wonder what springtime is going to be like once it gets here. But I have to admit that yes, the day did start out with rain, but then the sun came out and it was nice and warm outside. It was a beautiful day, actually. So I can't complain overly about that. But I just want to, now that we've gotten that out of the way, I just want to give out these URLs. The first one, of course, is to my Spreaker account, and that is https:// www.spreaker.com/user/author Vivian E. Moore. And of course, my Facebook or social media, it is https:// www.facebook.com/Vivian E. Moore. And I also want to give out my Pinterest. I think I did this last week as well, but this is one that I added on there. It is https:// Pinterest.com/Vivian Moore 48. And my Twitter handle is God's Property 46. My Instagram is https:// Instagram.com/God's Property 51. And if you want to check out my webpage, it is http://VivianEMoore.wix.com/author Vivian E. Moore. Also, if you want to shoot me emails, you can do that at authorvivianemore@gmail.com. I think that's all. I think I covered it all. Okay, so let's move on to today's show. The title of today's show is It's Alive, and the topic is character development. All right, so before I start telling you about this, I just wanted to share with you something else before I start. I'm sorry that I did that, but I just remembered what it was. Today I received an email, and I usually delete emails that I'm not familiar with before I even read them. But for some reason I didn't delete this one. I opened it and I read it. And basically what it was about me being featured in a magazine, and I've never heard of the magazine before, but that doesn't mean that it's not legitimate. But anyway, I just thought that was just that was nice of them to seek me out and to ask that. But anyway. I just wanted to share that with you, just in case I forgot to mention it later. But so now let's move on to the show. Again, I'm going to give the title, which is It's Alive, and the topic, character development. Okay, I'm not resurrecting Frankenstein from the dead, but I am talking about creating lively characters and stories and what it takes to make this possible. As writers, we all know that this is a key element for every story, whether it is children's fiction or adult. It's how we capture the attention of interested readers and keep them reading until the story is completed. Well, I want to tell you how to accomplish this and more. I believe the most effective technique is much like the construction of Frankenstein. You take a little of this and add a little of that, and before you know it, you've created a living, breathing being. Character building is something that requires a great amount of thought. This is why I've broken down the process for you in handy bullets. And you can't see this, but I've done it. But anyway, once I upload it to my blogger, then you'll be able to see it. But anyway, the first one is you need to develop key elements such as physical presence or distinct attributes. Here's a hint. We're human, so we should construct characters that possess the same traits. This is an easy one because we have many patterns and brands to choose from. In a way, we're designing our characters like clothes designers or building planners lay out patterns for their creations, concentrating on originality. Many designs share similarities, but still maintain a modicum of individuality. All right, so number 2, they should possess strengths and weaknesses, i.e., character flaws. We want believable characters that we can identify with, even if we construct them with superhuman personalities and charm. You know, there still must be some level of vulnerability. Yes, they can still be a knight in shining armor, but at the same time, fallible. Personally, I prefer people who are a bit rough around the edges. People who appear to be perfect are creepy to me, and they scare me. I'm just being honest. Number 3, be convincing. Typically, what this means is, as a female, I write from that perspective. But when creating characters of both genders, I must make the reader believe I know what I'm talking about when I describe traits of the opposite sex. I think I really do a great job with this. And, you know, as I've had many male influences throughout my life to use as a model. The majority of books I've read were written by women for women, but there are some male writers too who've done a great job. Also, I give credit where it's due. Let's use Fabio as an example. Ladies, most of you know exactly who I'm talking about. His finely chiseled features and body graced a number of historical romances back in the day. Now, he's turned the table and writes novels under the same genre about females from the male perspective. Way to go, Fabio. Kudos to you. All right, so number 4, personality. Everyone loves characters with a level of exuberance about them. Not too high-strung, though, or bubbly. This tends to get on the reader's nerves, and I'll admit that it gets on mine, too. You know, this also goes for mean-spirited, high-strung, or overly nice ones. Let's be honest. We tend to avoid people with these traits because they just don't mesh with certain personalities. We adore characters who are charismatic, jovial, witty, arrogant. We expect this feature because most males are born this way. Not overly much, but equipped with just a hint of badass in them too. I love characters, particularly the male ones who prove chivalry isn't dead, who are honorable and possess manners while still having a bad boy edge because their mama, or in this case, the writers raised them right. I do believe this is why I became a romance writer. In this world, I can create one man with all of these qualities, and I like as well the required personality traits too. That often they don't come packaged this way in real life. Most of the time, you see all these different qualities, and they're not all in the same person. So too bad you just can't, like a lump of clay, take a little bit from that one and a little bit from this one and just mesh them all together. Yeah, that won't work. So anyways, this goes equally for the female characters too. They must possess certain principles. if they are going to be heroines in the story. Whiny, indecisive, clingy women are not allowed as main characters in any of my stories, and they shouldn't be allowed in yours either. I'm just being honest. The main characters, whether they're male or female, they must be strong, and because they drive the story. They can't do this if you make them weak. Never mind the fact these are fictional characters, but at the same time, they still have traits that make them very real. Number 5, emotions. Everybody has them, including beings created on paper. Emotions drive us as humans. Imagine the havoc it causes in a story. And I know that's just a little bit of evilness in me to say that, but it's true. I love this attribute in characters because it allows me, as well the reader, to identify with them, whatever the situation might be. I love to see male characters display a certain level of emotion. Tears are good. Sensitivity is not weakness. It only exemplifies normal human traits. Keep in mind, we must keep it to a minimum. Crying males who are oversensitive tend to attract labels that aren't very flattering to the male ego. And for you men who fit this description, you know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, number 6. Perfection. This is what you don't want to do. There is no one perfect but Jesus. Keep that in mind. Sometimes as writers, we infuse our characters with too many unbelievable qualities. This only works if you're writing a fairy tale, folks. Come on. We all know someone who comes close, but still have some niggling inconsistencies that disqualifies them from getting a perfect score. It's okay to make them with character flaws. Lord knows we all are full of them. So why would we try to make the reader believe they do exist? Flaws are good. Flaws allow for growth. We all can stand a bit of improvement. I'm just saying, if we create the characters as if they are invincible, it lets the readers down when they discover it's not true. All right? Just keep that in mind as well. Number 7, uniqueness. Quirks are something we all are born with. So why would we make our characters without them? After all, being quirky is what defines and makes us individuals. This is what we want for our characters too. You know, I've read many books where there was nothing unique that distinguished the characters from any other story. Then again, I've read others that made me breathless when I got something totally unexpected or unique. I recently discovered that I love the paranormal genre. And I know I mentioned this to you last week, or it could have been the week before. I'm not sure when it was, but I do remember mentioning it. Well, for right now, anyway, you know, my reading preferences, they often change, but don't worry. I am a diehard romance writer, so you don't ever have to worry about me floating to some other genre to write about that. I try to stick to what I know, and romance is what I know. Nevertheless, I have 2 paranormal authors that are currently at the top of my reading list. Now, I always love the Twilight Saga, and I don't know how many of you have seen that, but it's very good. But anyway, these books are even more exceptional than those are. Being so, I want to share them with you. The first author is Cherry Smith. Now, I'm not sure if she pronounces her name Cherry or Sherry because it's spelled Cheri, and her last name is spelled Schmidt. So I know that's Schmidt. And she is the writer of the Fateful series. And then and it's 3 books in that. It's a trilogy. And then there is a 4th book that is sort of spins off from a character that's in the first 3 books. But you really need to check those books out. They're really good. I mean, oh my gosh, they are so good. I was totally just blown away when I read it because I didn't know what to expect. But I certainly wasn't expecting what I read. So I I just ask you to just go out and get those books and read them. And the trilogy is $1.99 to be quite honest. Now I have seen the books sold separately, but if you want to get all three of the books at one time, and you should, at $1.99, you can't beat that. So anyway, that's an invitation for you to go do that after the show. But anyway, there's another writer too, Erica Stevens. And I know I mentioned her too a while back. But anyway, she is the writer of the Captive series. And these are vampire stories, by the way, in case I failed to mention that earlier. That's what they are. They're vampire stories. But they're very good vampire stories. So both of these are great authors, and they've captured the male nuances required to make any character believable, even mythological ones. So that's really saying something for those ladies. Kudos to them as well. All right, number 8, strengths and weaknesses. We all have them. And most of the time, we are willing to name those which gives us physical power, but not so much the ones that makes us susceptible to weaknesses like kryptonite. Okay, when it comes to character development, it is imperative to the story that we do not leave out the cursed weaknesses. 5 weaknesses. Yeah, we don't want to talk about that, but anyway. Why? Well, because just like emotion, it makes the characters more believable if they are defined with traits we all possess. I know no one wants to admit that, but it's true. My strengths, without a doubt, outweighs any weaknesses, but the fact remains I still have them, along with doubts and fears. This doesn't make me any less of a person, or you, however, just human, the same as the characters we create. Number 9, sex appeal. Who doesn't like that in any individual, real or fictitious? The dashing hero is brawny and handsome, and the heroine is curvaceous in all the right places and beautiful. We expect these classic features because it fuels the imagination and gives those of us who are waiting for our Prince Charming or Cinderella hope that someday our dreams will come true also. Okay, I know that was a little over the top with the Disney promo, but seriously, we've all fantasized about that perfect someone. And through the creation of excellent characters, we can live our lives vicariously through them. Number 10, great writing. No matter how well we develop characters, there's still just a little more to make it complete. This is where the gift of a talented writer plays their part. You can have the best characters, but if you don't write a great story to go along with them, then that's all you got. What I've learned to ensure both requirements are met, I use real life situations and infuse that into my stories. Again, I'm going back to relativity, all things relatable. You know what I've learned in reading romance, paranormal, and other genres, is they all possess these key elements. Listen, you can't go wrong using the formula I've laid out for you. Now, there are other key factors. This is only the modified version. As writers, we know what moves our readers, whether it's compassion, love, romance, or just a good old tear-jerking drama. We have to learn how not to be afraid to explore what makes us human and what makes our characters come to life on paper. Well, folks, that's all I have for you today. These tips, these hot tips on character development, character building. And I just wanted to share with you what I've learned throughout the years of writing and developing the characters that are in my stories. I try to pass along anything that I think is useful to other writers and authors who are still up and coming, who are maybe can't decide on, how to start out writing or how to start out developing their characters. So this is why I give these tips, just to give you something, just a little guideline or guidebook to use at your convenience to be able to help you to create your characters and make them the best characters that you possibly can. All of these things go hand in hand with writing. You can't write a story if you don't have good characters. And because they, like I've said, they drive the story. and you want to make sure that those characters are believable. You want to make sure that they possess character traits that you and I possess. As I said before, and I can't say enough, we are not perfect. So you don't ever want to make that mistake in making your characters perfect, because you will lose readers. And I'm telling you that, straight off the top, you will lose readers, because, they are savvy enough to realize that, that's not believable, first of all, because they know that they're not perfect and they haven't met any people that are perfect. Although people, they want to claim that, and I'm doing air quotes here. I found the perfect guy, or I found the perfect woman. Perfection does not exist in this world. So, and I'm not being harsh. I'm just being honest. And you need to keep that in mind before you sit down to write your characters before you develop your characters, because you want to give them certain human traits. And I also too, I found that studying people help you to develop better characters. Mannerisms, you study mannerisms of people, while they're eating, while they're talking, whatever it is that they're doing, even little children, that gives you some great insight and detail into character development, because it's like, well, I just want to reference Disney here for another second, when they're developing the animations that they do, and a lot of the times, especially the animations of the later Disney movies and other movies that have done animations that look real life, and it's because what they do is they overlay the functions of a real life human with the covering of cartoon characters. So that makes the things that they do, the movements that they make, the eyes, all of that, the hands, it makes all of that seem more realistic. And so that's what you want to do when you're developing your characters in a story. Although people can't see this, but when they're reading it, as you tell the story, they can see it then. So you just want to, develop strong characters. And two, you want to wrap the story around those characters. You want to make sure that you've written a great story, because it goes hand in hand with the characters. And as I said before, you can have great characters, but if you have a lousy storyline or a lousy plot line, then, it sort of ruins everything. So you just want to keep all of that in mind. And like I said, I don't do flow charts, and I don't do the little, I forget what they call them, but anyway, it's like a flow chart. You write down the characters' names, and you write down details about the story, and I don't do that because I feel like that keeps me from it keeps my creative flow from actually flowing when I have to sit down and do something like that. Now I do make notes because I get thoughts and I get visions of scenes that are related to the story. So I write those things down so I don't forget them, but I don't sit down and do a storyboard. That's the word I was looking for. I don't do storyboards because I'm not an animator, for starters. And so, for me, that just does not apply. I guess it depends on, what genre you're writing in that would apply. But for me, in romance, I don't use it. Maybe other writers do, but personally, I don't. I just believe in just making the story up as I go. That's what writers do. They make the story up as they go along. And so I just let the creativity flows wherever it takes me. But still, it's within the means of the story. It never overflows the banks of what's going on inside of that story. It all makes sense. It's all consistent. So, but again, I just wanted to make sure that I just passed along what I've learned to as many people as possible, to those who are listening today or those who may listen to the show later. Or if you do happen to go out on Blogger and you pull up some of my blogs, this one will be out there as well. So you'll have it to look at, if you want to get this information. My main goal in what I do in doing this show every week is to uplift and inspire and to help those, as many as I possibly can. That's what it's all about. Last week we talked about being successful. And to me, that's what true success is helping someone else come up the way you did. It's reaching back and grabbing them by the hand and pulling them along with you. in any way that you can. And so this is how I give back. I give back by doing this show every Saturday, by giving useful information to those of you who want to listen, to those of you who want to use it, is there. So, in any way that I can, I just want to motivate you to continue your craft, because writing is a craft, it's an art. And, everybody has not been blessed with that gift. And so, what we do with that gift is the blessing back to God. And I can't say that enough either. But I do enjoy doing this show. And I thank you. As I say every week, the stats are increasing, as far as people listening to the show. And I thank you for that, for all the listeners that are listening to the show. I still haven't gotten back much feedback on it. So I don't know. I guess you're liking the show because you continue to listen. So that's one good thing. But, I guess a lot of people, or maybe they don't have the app and they don't want to sign into Spreaker or whatever to leave a comment, or maybe they are not on Facebook and don't want to log into Facebook to be able to leave a message on Spreaker, because it's sort of all tied together. But that's okay. You don't have to if you don't want to. Just keep listening. That means more to me than anything, the fact that you're doing that. Two, I want to share with you that not yesterday, but Friday, I sort of got my days turned around because I was off Monday. So I keep trying to add an extra day to the week, and it just doesn't work like that. But anyway, it was Thursday. And as I may have mentioned last week, my books were coming to Barnes & Noble. And so I went to the one that's here in Chattanooga it's at Hamilton Place Mall. And I went out there and autographed some of the books. And so I invite you, if you haven't gone out onto Amazon or Google or Apple or Barnes & Noble online and gotten the book, then you can go to the bookstore and get it as well. But I think at the bookstore it's regular price. But if you get it online, I think you get a discount. So it's just up to you, whichever one you want to do. But anyway, I'm thanking you in advance for doing that. For those of you who have already gotten the book, thank you so very much for doing that, because I do appreciate it. And book 2 hopefully will be out sometimes this year. I don't know when, but it will be out this year. Tomorrow, I've been invited to a group of ladies who is a book club to come and sit with them because they've read the book, and so they want me to come as a guest and to discuss the book with them. And so I'm looking forward to that for tomorrow. And then coming up for February, I've been invited to another ladies group to come and speak with them on writing and being an author. So I have quite a few things on my schedule for this year, and I love it. So, and I hope to add some more things as well. And, tomorrow is worship day. It's Sunday. And so I know a lot of people don't have church homes. They don't go to church on a regular basis. And I know that you can worship God, wherever you are, but it's good to fellowship with other Christians, with like-minded Christians. And so, if you know someone who has a church home, if you know someone who doesn't have a church home and you do, invite them to come to church with you tomorrow to hear the word, because it's life-changing, and you just never know what people are in the need of. So that's one good way to find out, to help somebody if you can. And as I always say, tell somebody that you love them, because tomorrow is not promised. I love you, and I hope you love me back. I look forward to talking with you again next Saturday at the same time, 6 p.m. on Book Chat with Author Vivian E. Moore. And until that time, God bless and goodbye.